When I was in 6th grade, I wanted to go to the science fair, and that was something that was really important to me. So I did my presentation on music and its effect on our memory. And so what I did, I had 4 different variables. I had no music, I had rock and roll music, I had musical theater, and then I had classical selection by Mozart, which sounded a little bit like this. And through this experiment, I had 4 different signs with pictures on them, and I had about 30 pictures. And what I had to do, I gave them 30 seconds to listen to the song, and then I gave them 30 seconds to look at the poster while listening to the song, and then they had 30 seconds to write down what they remembered. And as my hypothesis stated, classical music definitely had the best effect on the memory. And so today I will enlighten you on the effects of classical music on the brain and the memory. Listening to classical music affects the way our brain organizes and retains information. As the classical form states, classical music affects the brain and organization and ability through its melody and rhythm. And they have found that music increases the long-term and the short-term memory. Long-term memory is the place in our brain that we store memory for the long term and an extended period of time. And we have a sensory memory, which is our memory that we only keep for a few seconds that we pick up from sensory inputs. And our short-term memory is the memory that we have for a short-term amount of time when we're studying something. And if we have something that is well rehearsed or well known, it gets transferred from our short-term memory into our long-term memory. As students, we store a lot of information mainly in our short-term memory, and once information is learned and rehearsed, it is encoded and turned into long-term memory. According to the Center of Development and Learning, students who have difficulties with memory may have defects in encoding or registering information into memory, in storing information in long-term, or retrieving and accessing information from long-term memory. However, classical music affects the brain and the organizational abilities. As Lawrence O'Donnell states, Mozart music and Bach, with 60 beats per minute beat pattern, it activates the left and the right brain, and stimulates the left and the right brain. Action maximizes learning and retaining of information. Albert Einstein, which is a familiar name, I'm sure, it was said to be one of the most smartest men who has ever been alive on this earth. And his teachers actually told his parents that they should take him out of grade school because he was too stupid to learn anything, and that he should get a manual labor job that is easy for him. And so luckily, his parents, instead of taking him out of school, they bought him a violin. And he learned how to play a violin, and Albert even said that he chalks up his intelligence to the violin. And one of his friends, G.J. Withrow, said the way Einstein figured out his problems and equation was by improvising on a violin. Now, I'm not telling everyone to go pick up a violin in order to pass a test, but what I am saying is that music has an effect not only on the memory, but it also has an effect on your mood and on your health as well. Music can improve the mood in the brain and your health in various ways. The rhythm of classical music actually raises the level of serotonin produced in the brain. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter involved in the transmission of nerve impulses that help maintain a joyous feeling. When the brain produces serotonin, tension is eased and endorphins are released. The same is released when you smell a delicious scent or eat something or watch a movie or TV show that you enjoy, just like hearing something or type of music that you enjoy. According to Best Beats, the base on which music affects our mood is through the rhythm and the tone. Listening to the rhythm, our hearts begin to sync up with it, and it also changes the type of music it also changes with the type of music you are listening to. If you are listening to slower music or sad music, your brain communicates with your mood and knows that you're in a certain mood, or if you're listening to fast, upbeat music, your brain can register what mood you're in. Our health can also benefit from listening to classical music as well. HealthWire provides 5 scientifically proven benefits of classical music. It can increase physical performance, it gets quality sleep and your body needs, and it eases chronic pain naturally, improves moods and lowers stress, and also boosts brain power. Susan Thomas, a Hawaiian surgeon, conducted an experiment where she had several people that were going to undergo surgery in a room, and then several people in another room. And during surgery, in one room she played classical music, and in the other room she played no music at all. And she found that the people in the room that had music playing, it lowered their stress and their anxiety before the surgery and during the surgery, to where the people that didn't have music, they had high stress and high anxiety waiting to undergo surgery. And classical music could have a huge influence on our brain, our memory, and our mood overall. Listening to classical music stimulates both the left and the right side of the brain while studying, which improves the materials and effects on memory. While listening to music, our brain also detects our mood and helps improve our body and release the feel-good endorphins. And it can also help preventing and lowering stress and anxiety. So the next time that you are studying for a test, or you have to get an A in a class and you have to memorize something in the next 24 hours, maybe try listening to some classical Bach, Mozart, or Beethoven, and you might be surprised. Thank you.
So Jason, your thoughts?
I think you had a good attention device. It was an interesting story to start off the speech. I like how you used the visual to like play throughout the speech so that we kind of get in the feel for what she's going to talk about. I like how you clearly stated the purpose statement so you know what you're going to be talking about, and good transition into the speech. Make good eye contact with the audience, not really reading off of the index cards, and the facts, your data and your quotes and all were like clearly stated. So I like how you just had a clear, we really knew what you were talking about throughout the whole speech.
All right. Well, I'm going to agree with a lot of those things. There's maybe one or two things that I have a little bit of a difference with. I like the attention device a lot. I thought you had a very clear thesis statement. The research, I think you are consistent about citing the information there. There's a lot of it in the presentation, which adds a lot to your credibility. I think that helps immensely. I appreciated all of that. I like the story that you had at the beginning about your science project, and I like the fact that you're using a music cue as an example of that. I'm going to disagree a little bit with Jason. I understand the idea, the theory behind playing the music continuously throughout the presentation, but it's in some contexts it might be helpful. Like if I'm sitting in a dentist's office, this will calm me down. However, when I'm listening to the speech, I want to start listening to the music instead of listening to you. And so it becomes a little bit of a competitive sort of thing. I think you have to be careful about that. I know the theory behind, of keeping the music playing while you're speaking was, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's going to work this way. And if it doesn't work that way, then it becomes a problem. And for me, I kept thinking, okay, wait, what's the tune? And then when it changed tunes, I go, oh, well, did we reach the end of that piece, or is that just another section in the same movement? Is that a different artist? And I'm going, I shouldn't be thinking about those things. That's not really what this speech is about. So it becomes a little bit of a distraction. Most of the time you spoke loud enough so that it wasn't, but you had to compete with this music in the background. Now you got two things that you have to compete with. You can compete with the blowing of the fan up here on the projector and the music there, and that's a little bit difficult. It may not be as bad for people up front, or people in back probably didn't notice the music quite as much. People in front, it might have been a little bit louder. I don't know. I'm sitting in one particular spot. So that was a little bit of a drawback for me. And I think you needed to have a little bit more when it came to extra sensory assistance there. Maybe some visuals, or maybe even some changes in the music. Like maybe you could replicate the experiment that you did when you're doing the science fair project and give us an example about how the music affects people differently. And it's easy to hear some of that difference when you play a short clip or two. That maybe would have expanded a little bit. Okay, the place that I had the most difficulty with the content of the speech was in organization and the signposts. I didn't think that I heard a very clear preview at the beginning of the speech. In the body of the speech, I heard a lot of information. I think there's a section that talks about memory. I think there's a section that talks about some physical reactions. And I think there's a section that might be a different section, it might be the same section that talks about your health. But I'm having to figure that out, and it shouldn't be that ambiguous. It should be a little bit more specific. And unlike the speech that we heard earlier where I said somebody at the end of the speech, they kind of helped themselves out with the summary by reminding us of the points that we got there, I didn't think you quite got that same effect. So that to me seemed to be the drawback of the speech. The strength of the speech, though, is your presentation. For the most part, you talk to us, you're in the center there, you are assertive, you have to be a little bit assertive with your voice because of the competing noise, and the content in terms of the research. I thought that you had a lot of good research in the presentation, so those are its strengths. Just a couple of things about this is not, it didn't affect your grade or anything, and we're not focusing on delivery issues. The shirt wrapped around your waist like a belt is a little distracting, so you might want to think about those kinds of things on speaking day. Just pay attention to stuff like that. So far we haven't had anybody who kept, I don't know, Nathan, you didn't wear your hat the other day while you were speaking, did you? Yeah, there you go. I mean, we haven't had anybody do something else like that was that noticeable. It's just a minor thing. You want to pay attention to that. Frankly, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to take a snip of the visual of the video, and I'm going to use that in my presentation on delivery issues because I just thought it's something that's so noticeable. Okay, thank you.